Sip Bliko, Sip Atmatray, Sip Sagai, Sip Yoga Narsiman. Sip Raju, Rajan, Sip Rajan, Sip Samatma, Sip Kundan, Sip Sunil Chittal, Sip Bliss, Sip Eru, Sip Rup. Welcome to a session on Brahmachari. Sip Rekha Parvani. What is the topic today? Administrator is putting up the topic. A very interesting session. As always promised in Ask AiR, no session will go without meaning and no session will be left as a boring subject. Who is a Brahmachari? Who is a Brahmachari? Who would like to start? Who's the champion for today's session? We are talking on the subject of Brahmacharya, Brahmacharya and Brahmachari. We have, as usual, our champion Sunil Chittal, who has taken the mic. Sir, namaskar to you, Sunil ji. Bataiye. Who is the Brahmachari? Who is Brahmachari?
Brahma Achariti iti Brahmachari. One who lives as Brahman is Brahmachari or Brahmacharini. Basically, yogi or yogini. In fact, sir, I got reminded of Sant Tukaram's one Abhanga in Marathi. This says, Bolava Vittala, Pahava Vittala, Karava Vittala, Jiva Bhava. Means so you speak Brahman, you see Brahman, you make your whole living as Brahman.
Amazing. So, I am surprised we have got such an advanced view on Brahmachari because I don't know what we are going to come out with. Sip will give us the answer. But the world has a very different understanding of Brahmachari. All of you who have done Google or all of you who have understood something on Brahmachari, who would like to go next, please? We have got...
Google will say Brahmachari is a bachelor.
So Sunil Chittal is telling us Google's definition, that Brahmachari is a bachelor. Basically one who has got abstinence and total continence. But I would like to hear it from you, not from me. My dear Bliss, what is Brahmachari? Who is Brahmachari?
Hello, Shiva.
Shivoham.
A Brahmachari, it's someone is like single. It's there.
Single. So why we must be single? Why they say we must be single?
Single, it's is able to live with with itself and be able to make what he wants.
But why we must be single? Why we must live with oneself? Why we cannot live with sip? Everybody is sip. Then why we should be Brahmachari?
Brahmachari is able to live with itself and be happy with sip. This relation with sip, it's enough.
Who told you Brahmachari meaning? Bliss.
I am looking for because I would like to have an explication, and it was very not easy for me to understand what the meaning is well. And
in French, you got the meaning in English and you translated in French.
Yes, I am able to read in English, and I understand better than talking. It's and Brahmacharya is the way, it's the road to live in by itself and be in with sip and enjoy it and I don't know how to say, but établir relationship with Arthur and live in perfect.
So you are saying Brahmachari is when there is no relationship with others, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Who would like to? I want some more participation. So who will tell us? Who is the Brahmachari?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Yes, sir. Girish.
One may be in yoga or one may be in bhoga.
Yes.
One may be alone or in solitude or one may be in company. All these may give joy. But one who gets divine pleasure, divine joy in the consciousness of the Brahman is called a Brahmachari.
Okay. So basically, even Mahatma Gandhi wrote a lot about Brahmachari. And when Mahatma Gandhi spoke about Brahmachari, it was taken in a very different manner. Brahmachari, the word Brahmachari, if you tell anybody, or if you look at Brahmachari movies, the Bala Brahmachari, the songs are there, so many Brahmachari songs are there. So that's why we have it in this call. And Brahmachari is very important. Many people think it is abstinence from sex. So many people believe that Brahmachari is nothing but giving up sex and giving up lust. This is what the common understanding of the world is. So is it true? Is that the meaning? Is that required for enlightenment? Is that required? So Rahul wants to speak. Yes, Rahul, you wanted to put your hand up?
Sure, sir. Yeah, I just
Sure.
want to mention the point you said that Brahmachari means is abstinence of sex. Yeah.
It's a.
So it's basically practicing celibacy.
So who told you this?
Heard in from Sarnath. I heard from childhood, sir.
Okay, because this is not the exact meaning, Rahul. So Brahmachari is not the absent. It's not absence of sex. It is not celibacy. It is wrongly understood. So we have to get to the right understanding. So Rumata ji and then Rekha Parwan. Rumata ji, आप क्या बताएंगे ब्रह्मचारी क्या है?
गुरुजी प्रणाम।
प्रणाम।
गुरुजी पहले 4 स्टेजेस होती थी जिसमें ब्रह्मचारी उसको बोला जाता था जो गुरु के पास जाता था ज्ञान लेने के लिए, वो वहीं रहता था और मतलब गुरु की सेवा में ही अपना जीवन व्यतीत करते थे और सब कुछ सीखते थे. बट आई फील ब्रह्मचारी इज अ पर्सन who lives as yogi, not as bhogi.
But you brought a very good point, Rumata ji. You brought up the point that Brahmachari is the first ashram. Brahmacharya, फिर गृहस्थ, फिर वानप्रस्थ, फिर संन्यास, correct?
Yes.
तो आपने जो first point दिया, Brahmachari is the ashram or the first quarter of life where a person lives in the umbrella of Brahma. Brahmacharya means to walk with Brahma. Brahmachari means to be able to have a philosophy of SIP. Brahmachari, uske liye, what you're saying, the moment that happens, Rumata ji, then obviously there is no bhoga, you're in yoga. Correct, Rumata ji? फिर हम शादी क्यों करते हैं? बताइए, immediately ब्रह्मचारी के बाद 25 साल के बाद हो गया डंडन शादी हो गया, बच्चा हो गया, गृहस्थ हो गया.
But who has a control over himself, he can still be brahmachari while married.
But is that easy?
No, it is very difficult. It is very difficult.
So let us be. इसलिए many people from the Brahmachari ashram, they skip the Grihastha ashram. They skip it. And they go straight to sannyas.
Guruji, we are giving the wrong message to Girish ji.
Right?
Always we say one should think 100 times before getting married. So he must be in what to do, whether to get married or not.
So Girish, you are looking actively or what? My Rumataji is telling that she's looking for you actively. No, Girish is not in that mood, Rumataji. So the point is the Brahmachari, if we are walking with, let's understand, either we are walking a life of samsara, where we are going to be miserable, or we are walking a life of divinity, we are walking a life of Ship, we are walking a life of the Atma, the Ruh. That way we are walking a life of Brahma. Brahmachari, Brahmacharya, whatever, the words are a little confusing. And monk says Achari, who is with Brahma. Monk is bringing Brahmachari. So he's an Achari. So Achari, koi bhi Achari ban jata hai. Achari. So I don't want to bring into that. But let us hear, we have 3 more opinions. Rekha Parwan, then Ashok, and then Bliss. Rekha Parwani.
Shivam, AiR.
Shivam, Rekha.
A brahmachari lives in samsara, but he's detached from the worldly pleasures. He tries to be a yogi.
No,
is
Rekha,
it
Rekha.
in its
What is the meaning of Brahmacharya? Can you focus on the word Brahmacharya? What is the meaning of Brahmacharya?
who lives in yoga?
That becomes a yogi. How can you call a one who lives in yoga? Yogi, jo yog mein sada hi rahe, Prabhu ke yog mein rahe. How is Brahmachari becoming yogi?
He, I'll come back.
Okay, yeah. See, because what happened in this
Because
call, I want you to be clear.
Yes.
Okay, वो अमिताभ बच्चन के डायलॉग क्या पता है? अमिताभ बच्चन, I like अमिताभ बच्चन डायलॉग्स. तो अमिताभ बच्चन को एक दिन वो मूवी में बोलता है, ए शराबी को शराबी नहीं क्यों तो जुआरी कहोगे, गेहूं तो गेहूं को नहीं क्या जुआरी कहोगे, क्या बोलते हो अमिताभ बच्चन? शराबी को शराबी नहीं तो क्या पुजारी कहोगे. हाँ, शराबी को शराबी नहीं तो क्या पुजारी कहोगे, गेहूं को नहीं तो क्या जुआरी कहोगे. I think this is the dialogue. So I like this call to be very clear. Brahmacharya. When you are on the path of enlightenment, you have to cross this word. You cannot escape this word Brahmacharya. This word Brahmacharya has to be addressed in the journey of enlightenment. Therefore, today it is in the part of the call. Ashok Nichani, where did you go?
Shivam Sharji.
Shivam Ashok. Bolo.
A brahmachari is a person who lives without the desires of the outside world.
It's not to do with sex.
No, Sirji, he lives without outside all the desires of the outside world. He uses his senses to
So
know.
is Brahmacharya to do celibacy or it's not celibacy?
He's not, Sirji.
It's not to do with celibacy.
No,
आप जाके
sir.
गूगल में डालो आप ब्रह्मचर्य तो इट celibacy. सीधा आएगा celibacy. Celibacy means giving up sex.
But a brahmachari lives without all these desires.
So therefore, Ashok, the word brahmacharya means, my guru told it in a nice way. Like I'm telling Ashok, because you may like this answer. My guru said, brahmacharya means जो ब्रह्म के साथ चर्या है, जो चलता है, the one who walks with Brahma.
Okay.
Brahmacharya, he defined, my Guruji told, Brahmacharya, तो ब्रह्म के साथ चलता है हमेशा. One who is walking with Brahma, who is always with Brahma, who is thinking what Sunil Chittal told that Vithala, the quote of Vithala. Correct? Vittal means Brahman. He only translated, he didn't use the word Vithala to confuse people. So in Marathi, Vittal means nothing but the divine. So my point is, we think God, we eat God, we look God, we love God. If somebody is even making love, that making love also is divine. There is nothing wrong in making love. God is made human being. He's made in such a way that making love, according to me, is not bad, provided it's done in an attitude of brahmacharya. Making love has become lust. Making lust has become prostitution. It has lost its meaning. People have lost the real sense. God made love to be a beautiful emotion. And from the emotion of love emerges the emotion of physical expression of love. But today the word brahmacharya has become completely misconstrued. If you go and see hundreds of articles in the internet, they will all tell you abstinence, continence, giving up sex. All this is what is written in the internet. But this is not brahmacharya. So Bliss, what do you have to say, Bliss?
Dear Ravi, I start Prema Yoga book and I would like to know the link between B and Prema Yoga and B and the Brahmacharya.
Very good. Very intelligent question.
How a woman he's become sati, braka. I don't know.
How a woman can become what?
With the pronunciation.
What? How a woman can become?
Sati, braka, brahma, charya.
How a woman can become brahmacharya?
Sati, brahma, charya.
Sakshi Brahmacharya. What's Sakshi?
Sati.
Sachi. Real Brahmachari.
Yeah.
Sati Brahmachari. From where you got the word Sati? From where you got this word Sati Brahmachari?
I have read before.
It's not in the Prema Yoga book, but you are taken from internet.
No, I have read, and I would like to know the link between all.
Sati is a different.
Yoga, Sati Brahmacharya.
Okay, so I think Sati is referred to that woman who gives up her life for the sake of her husband who dies. So don't confuse. Please don't. This is wrong. Please ignore that word Sati. But in Prema Yoga, you brought a very beautiful link. Prema Yoga is when you use prema or love to be in yoga. So bliss, if you are in love with somebody, and when you love that person and you see God in that person, you see that person as God, as Sip, and you love that person. It may be emotional love, it may be physical love. There's nothing wrong in having physical love. There's nothing wrong, provided you see the person as divine. Provided you see the person as Sip, not just as flesh and bones. If your relationship is only physical, it is not Prema Yoga. It is lust. I hope you understand the difference. So
yes,
Prema Yoga is, my dear Bliss, when you can love somebody, and when you love that person, in that love, you become yogi. You become in yoga. You become connected to God. That is Prema Yoga. Because you know that your beloved is Sip. You know your beloved is not the bone and flesh and skin. No, you know that your beloved is actually a god or a goddess. And when you love the god or the goddess, that makes you a yogi. You become yogi.
Yes.
Now a brahmacharya, connecting the brahmacharya, if you are all the time walking with Brahma, thinking Sip, talking Sip, living Sip, waking Sip, sleeping Sip, then your love also will be brahmacharya. Then your love also will become Prema Yoga. The love of a brahmachari will be Prema Yoga. Got it? You understood?
Yes, I understand everything. Thank you so much for your explanation.
Thank you. Who else wants to go next? Next question, please. Brahmachari or others? But I would like your views. I'd like your... Bliko, what is your understanding? Atmatray, Ashok Chotwani, what is your understanding of Brahmachari? Have you all learned something today, or you are confused, or you are going to confuse me for now? Let me know where you are. Who's
Sirji, I have a doubt. I have a doubt, Sirji.
Yes, sir.
Sirji, can Buddha be called as a brahmachari?
Buddha?
Yes, Sirji.
Of course he was a brahmachari.
Because he was married and he left his wife and son and went off.
That is exactly the wrong understanding of the meaning of brahmachari. The moment you get married, people say, how can you be brahmachari? The moment you get married, people say, ye to shadi kiya hai. He's married. How can he be brahmachari? Ye to grahast hai. You have to leave brahmachari and become grahast. See the problem, Ashok. You are living with a wife. Now the wife tells, come on, abhi film ke liye chalo. So what to do? You have to go, na?
We have to go.
Then movie may be Rani Padmavati or something, some about whatever it may be, the movie. It may be some bakwas movie. But that's the obligation now. So why get into an obligation which will take you away from brahmacharya?
Yes, sir. Correct, sir.
Now, when you are not married, example, Girish, I believe. You're not married, Girish?
I was married for 17 years. 4 years ago, by mutual consent, we are separated.
You are blessed.
And we are childless.
You are blessed. Okay, thank you. So Girish says, Rumata ji, sun lo, wo mukt ho gaya. Aap usko wapas shaadi mat karao, Rumata ji. So
he's lucky.
Okay. So I don't know where we were. So Ashok Nishani, kahan chale gaya. So those who are married happily, please don't be offended. If you are happily married, and like Ashok Nichani is very happily married, nothing wrong in that. But marriage is a bandhan. Marriage is an obligation. Nobody will deny it. Marriage is a responsibility. But Buddha left his marriage. Buddha left his child, left his palace. So Brahmacharya is one who leaves the samsara and goes to live a life of Brahma. Ashok, clear? Ashok, clarity is not there?
Yes, yes, Guruji, I got it. Thank you for explaining.
Thank you. Thank you. Rajan. Rajan and Atmatray. Yes, Rajan. Then Atmatray.
Namaste, Guruji.
Sure, sir.
Brahma means the supreme soul or sip.
Yes. Yeah.
Charya means walk along or ride along.
Very good. Where you got from? Where you
uh,
got this from? Where you got this from?
From some scriptures, I was there in the yoga learning for 18
Very
or
good.
20,
Very
21
beautiful
years.
answer. Like Sunil Chittal started.
All
Good
the
answer.
actions of Brahmachari is for the realization of God.
He's walking with God. Basically, what you're saying, he is all the time walking with Sip. In other words, somebody who said yogi is like a yogi. I rejected the answer, but it is very similar. Who I think Rekha Parwani, you said yogi, you know Rekha Parwani? So see,
Yes,
only difference is the yogi is moving from one state of yoga to another. The brahmachari is walking with God.
Yes.
So they are very similar, but they are not the same.
Same. Okay.
I will contemplate the difference between the two and tell you. Right now,
Brahmachari, AiR, is it he's still on the path of becoming a yogi?
Maybe. So brahmachari is the process. Brahmachari is the method to become a yogi. Because you may be, suppose today I'm a brahmachari. Suppose I'm walking with God, I'm only walking with God, I keep on walking with God for 10 years. I still may not be yogi. I still may not be mukti. How Girish got mukti 4 years back. That is blessings, it's karma, blessing. How otherwise? You think everybody gets mukti easily? Or what? Huh? In Switzerland, I did a beautiful video. I did a beautiful video about mukti. There was one bird. The bird was in a cage. So this bird was left from the cage. The bird was mukta. But the bird is so foolish. The bird is feeling, no, I want to be in a cage. I want to be secure in a cage. I want to feel secure in a cage. And the bird goes and gets caught in another cage. Now, this is why Girish is not wanting to be in another cage, I think. So it is up to us, each one of us, whether we want to walk brahmacharya, then mukti is important. Freedom is important. Atmatray.
Shivam, sir.
Yes, go on.
I'm giving a practical.
Yes, sir. Please.
After marriage, who uses sex for producing child is also a brahmachari. As per
After marriage, the one who gives up sex.
Use sex only for producing child.
How he becomes brahmachari?
Yes.
He becomes a grahastha. He's producing child. So how he can be brahmachari? My dear Atmatray, then everybody in this world is brahmachari or what?
As per Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says,
you please copy the scripture and give it to Sunil Chittal for analysis. Sunil Chittal क्या बोल रहा है? भगवद गीता में बोलता है जो भी बच्चा पैदा करता है वो ब्रह्मचारी बन जाता है. No, Sunil Chittal is saying no, only for. Atmata is correcting me. He's correcting me. He's saying only for. It is not for people who are going to Bangkok. Okay. So with that note, let us see. There are some. Chandrakant says one who's always union with Brahma is brahmachari. Chandrakant, no. The one who's union with Brahma is a yogi. The one who is walking with Brahma, wanting to be a yogi, is a brahmacharya. The one who's in a talash who has renounced a vairagi. A vairagi is a brahmachari. Correct? Am I right, Sunil Chittal? जो renounce करता है, जो संसार को त्याग करता है और प्रभु के साथ चलता है, is the brahmachari. The one who renounces the material pleasures of this world and walks with God.
Guruji, yes, as per my understanding, one starts a life of a brahmachari, then he evolves himself into a yogi, And the penultimate state, after getting the anubhuti, he lives there somewhere, except.
Yeah, but unfortunately, as per the ashram, Sunil, after brahmachari, we become
That is
grahastha.
different. Yeah, that words are the same, but it's a different thing. Brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha. There is brahmacharya, grahastha, vanaprastha.
No. So normally, the guru teaches you brahmacharya. The guru teaches you all the dharma.
Yes.
The first 25 years is dharma.
In
But
the
then,
brahmacharya ashram, he teaches you what is meant by brahma acharati, brahmachari.
But then they'll put you into grahastha.
Yes.
Which is very funny.
You use your choice.
Very few people are lucky to take the yogic path and they go into yogi.
Yes.
So many people from the brahmacharya path do it. And there's Rohit. Yes, Rohit.
Yeah, so usually celibacy is taken as brahmacharya.
Correct.
I mean, yeah.
Correct.
So, but is celibacy required for enlightenment?
No.
Because people say that for that purity you need purity.
So Rohit, let's be very clear, Rohit. Celibacy is one thing, and being lustful is another. I hope you are getting the two extremes. If one uses the gift of sexuality in a divine manner, there is nothing wrong. It is like eating and drinking and sleeping. It is a natural process. But if one is using sexuality as a lust, and one is being sexual with one and all, one and many, and one is using this as a source of expressing their lust, then you cannot become a brahmacharya, you cannot become a yogi. Rohit, am I explaining clearly, or you are not clear about what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, clear.
So therefore, a normal person who is eating, living, drinking, why did God made a human being with semen and an ovum, man and woman? Why did he make? There's a plan. It's for them to have the opportunity of creating a child. Now, this is not manufactured by Infosys or Wipro. This is the creator. This SIP has created. Therefore, anything that SIP has created, we have to use it effectively. We have to use it in the awareness, in the right way. For example, Rohit, just to tell you, we can eat and we can eat nicely. But what if you eat 20 different type of foods today? Tomorrow you'll have loose motions. You'll have stomach aches, upset. You'll have food poisoning. Are you getting my point, Rohit?
Yeah, but understood. But does celibacy helps in higher states of minds? And
yes,
that is the reason why maybe many organization
you're leading to a new thing.
tells to maintain celibacy so that it enables them to attain the higher states of minds.
This is something my guru taught me. It is called Ojas Shakti.
Yeah,
I wrote a book before I became AiR, which is now, that book is, I've destroyed that book because it was before I became AiR. It is called Sex Transmutation. How to transmute sex energy into divine power. So the ones, even Mahatma Gandhi said this practice, when you practice celibacy, or when you control the semen, the losing of semen, that semen Shakti can create life. Now, this is a pre-spiritual understanding. It is a good understanding, and I was prescribing to it before I became AiR. That this, see, finally, a drop of semen can create a life. Therefore, the drop of semen is very powerful. People who do what is called semen retention through many methods, tantric methods and other methods, they are supposed to be much stronger as physical beings. But this does not make them spiritual beings necessarily, unless this so-called Ojas Shakti becomes from the Ojasvi, we have to become Tejasvi. I don't know whether Sunil Chittal knows about this subject and how much he is. I wrote a book on this for my guru. My guru told me to write a book before I became AiR. This is about 15, 20 years back. Then because the book was a mixture of samsaric and spiritual, I destroyed that book is no more available. But I hope one day we will write a book on sex transmutation and the real meaning of brahmachari and walking. So therefore, is celibacy good? In a way it is. Is celibacy going to help towards enlightenment? Not in all cases. Not everybody who celebrates celibate will not become enlightened. And this is that if you are celibate, you cannot. If those who are not practicing brahmacharya or sexual abstinence, does it mean they cannot get enlightenment? No, they can get. You can get, provided you are reached that state of realization, the state of enlightenment, and then you don't let sexuality overtake your spirituality. I hope you're getting this important sentence of mine.
Yeah, because there is always been told that you should not be eating non-veg food and you should always maintain celibacy to attain enlightenment.
See,
so these are two things which are always been told from in the traditional all the organization.
What will a man who is living in Antarctica do when there is no vegetarian food available? Right? What will he do in Antarctica? He has no option but to eat fish and seals and whatever is available there. They will die. So all I'm saying is, we spoke about this few days back. There is a goodness in eating vegetarian food. I'm a vegetarian. I practice vegetarianism. My Guruji is very strongly on vegetarianism. But all these we can have one session on vegetarianism. If you all are interested, please tell me. We will have one session on vegetarianism.
Yes. Sure, Guruji.
But my point is, let us not misunderstand that Brahmacharya is a magical way of celibacy and what they call continence and abstinence, and this will magically transport you to enlightenment. No, this is not true. And even the opposite, that if you are just having some amount of sexuality, then you cannot have spirituality. This also is a myth. But overdoing of sexuality, I'm very clear, overdoing of sexuality will destroy spirituality. Please note my point clearly, and I'm open to a discussion. Anybody else wants to ask us a question? A brahmachari, okay, I'll end this, summarize it at the end. But somehow 5 more minutes for questions. Who wants to go? Atmatra, you are convinced or you are still not clear, Atmatra? No, you're not, you're muted. And Bliko, whether you want to say something. Sudeep Bhargava, you're not told anything. Anybody wants to say something before we conclude the session?
Sir, I completely agree with you that indulgence, too much of indulgence in sexuality will harm spirituality.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely right with that. Only small doubt that I had is, I mean, I don't know, it's a theoretical question that then why were 4 quadrants created and why were they named as Brahmacharya and then you go to Grihast? It should have been that Brahmacharya continues and you get one more responsibility of starting up a family.
Correct.
That Brahmacharya should continue. At the bedrock, it should be Brahmacharya.
Yeah, but the problem is, शादी वो फल है जो खाए तो भी पचता है, ना खाए तो भी पचता है. So the problem is this, that everybody who reaches this age of about 20-25, when you reach that age, I think in English it's called sowing of oats or something. They say, what they say, that a person becomes naturally sexual. Sudeep, you and me don't do it. Will you and me do it, or it's naturally sexual? This is God created. God has created in a manner that after you are 13, 14, 15, 16, you develop a sense of sexuality. Now, when you develop a sense of sexuality, now how do you express it? If you are so absorbed in Brahmacharya ashram that you're so walking, Brahmacharya means all the time, God, I seek you, God, I want you, God, I don't want samsara, I don't want pleasure, I don't want this. Then there are good chances, what Sunil Chittal said, that from a Brahmacharya, you become a yogi, you become a tyagi, you don't become a samsari. But many people, for example, every mother and father wants their child to be married. This is avidya. Every mother and father wants their child to get married because they want who will continue the family. What will happen to the family tree? So every mother and father is selfish. They want the child. Which mother and father is happy for the child to become brahmachari? No mother and father is happy. You know the story of Adi Shankara. You know the story. Adi Shankara was 8 years old, I believe, when Adi Shankara told his mother, "I want to be brahmachari." Ashok Nichan, you know the story? No, sir. When Adi Shankara told his mother, she told After I die, you can be brahmachari. Till I die, you dare not talk of brahmachari. One day, Adi Shankara went swimming in the river. As he was swimming in the river, his mother was with him. One crocodile caught him. And the crocodile was going to eat him. Then he called, Amma, Amma. She said, what happened? She said, my crocodile has caught me. I'm going to die. At least now give permission. I'm a brahmachari. Let me die brahmachari. Ashok. And the mother said, okay, you're going to die. I give permission. Die as a brahmachari. The moment she said die as a brahmachari, the crocodile opened the mouth and he was free. And then he went and became a brahmachari.
Okay. Interesting.
So this is written. Am I right? This is written in the scriptures.
Yes,
This is not my story.
100%. It is a documented fact.
Okay, tell me, Sunil, you want to say something before we close the session?
Guruji, I wanted to, this concept of 4 quadrants and all, a brahmacharya, the age of brahmacharya, you cannot become grahastha. You bought that point.
After brahmacharya,
See,
when you finish,
up to a particular age,
No, brahmacharya is the first quadrant.
Different.
Is the brahmacharya is the
as a
first
student.
Yeah. But what the student teaches you in those days, the student was taught by the guru for all brahmacharya, all methods of brahmacharya, which means there's God, there is Sip, there's Upanishad, but also he was taught, if he was from a Kshatriya family, he was taught how to do bow and arrow. If he was in a Shudra family, he would be taught how to clean the toilets. If he was in a whatever those different 4
Vanaprastha, business, just commercial, all commerce was taught to him as a
what is
Vanaprastha.
what's commerce called? Kshatriya, Brahmin, Shudra,
Kshatriya, Vaishnav.
Vaishya.
So
there is business, commercial.
So they along with brahmacharya, they are taught those skills.
All other, yes.
Yeah, but after the first quadrant of life, a child could either become a yogi, a sannyasi, or get into grahastha. If he got into grahastha, then he had to get out at 50. At Vanaprastha, he had to get out. That was the ashrama at that point of time. So I've written a book. Have you read my book, The 4 Quarters of Life?
No.
I've written a book. I've written a book called The 4 Quarters of Life. Okay, I'm reaching the end of the session. Anybody wants to ask last chance before I'm closing the session? Anybody? Sudeep, did we finish your point, Sudeep? Or you had a doubt?
No, sir. It's okay, man. We can discuss it some other time.
No, what did you say the last point? I had a doubt you said something.
No, my only doubt was how that division has been made. I think better thing would have been that because what I understand brahmachari is that somebody who's walking with God. So even after marriage, somebody can walk with God. So why are we creating a demarcation between brahmachari and grahastha?
My dear Sudeep, why don't you accept the reality that today Mr. Sudeep Bhargava, along with his wife and children, has got obligation to wife and children and cannot take away that time which he would give to wife and children. Otherwise, that time would have been given to God. You agree or you don't agree? The point is, if Sudeep Bhargava did not have a wife and children, then he could use that time for Brahmacharya, to be with Brahmacharya or to be with God. Now, if you have to take your child to a doctor, you have to go for PTA meeting, you have to take your wife somewhere for shopping. That's your obligation. You can't help it. That's your moral obligation. Why do you want to deny that? Is it right or is it wrong?
No, but we can minimize these obligations. At least I'm trying to do it to the extent possible.
But that is not, see, the problem is that. So then what happens is, this is why many people say, Sudeep, when people give gali to Buddha. What this Buddha, man? He left his wife and child and ran away to the forest. What a rubbish fellow he was. How many people have criticized Buddha? Go to the internet. You will find thousands of people criticizing Buddha. Okay, so Sudeep, like you said, it's a subject, a longer subject. My dear friends, Rajan, last point, Rajan, before I close.
Yes, sir. In that 4 quadrant, the first quadrant is studentship, the learning stage.
Correct.
And the second is grihastha. There also one be a brahmachari.
In my book, what I've written, first you learn and then you earn. Correct.
Yes.
In the modern world, people are learning and people are earning and people are dying.
Okay.
That's all. People are only learning, earning, and dying.
Okay.
But that is not the purpose of life. Okay. The purpose of life is to learn, to earn, and then to turn to turn to God. I don't know what is written in the book. I'm not sure what is the fourth. But we must learn. We must earn. Learn first, then we must earn. Then you must turn, and then you must never return. So this is the 4 quarters. First you must learn, then earn, then turn, and never return. So this is what in essence I speak in my book. Rekha Parwani, you're wanting to end the session quickly, Rekha?
Shivam, AiR,
Shivam.
Those people who criticize Buddha don't realize that he's a blessed one. And
Yeah.
those who want to be enlightened,
Yeah.
they need this chance. Like everybody should give a person a chance to be enlightened.
So my dear,
Everyone
thank you,
should
Rekha.
understand this.
Thank you. So my dear friends, before we close this session, I have only 30 seconds to close this session. My dear friends, let us understand that Brahmachari is not abstinence of sex. Brahmachari is not celibacy. Brahmacharya, the word Brahmacharya means what Sunil said, Rajan said, Brahmacharya. Brahma is sip, Charya is to walk with the divine, to wake up and to be in dhyana yoga, bhakti yoga, karma yoga, dhyana yoga, even prema yoga, which means love is divine. Love is divine. Love comes from the divine and love goes to the divine. Love is sip. Love comes from sip and love goes to sip. And therefore, to love is the most beautiful thing in this world. We must not concoct the meaning of love, and we must not suppress the expression of love. As long as we can love God and we can see God in all, and we can live a life of a brahmacharya without misunderstanding the definition of this. With folded hands, I bow down to you.